Morning all. A chilly old morning with the Suffolk crew on the way to Hunstanton to meet up with Skeggy Cruiser, and hopefully a good few others for Skeggy's sunny honey run. Fortunately it's dry at the moment. The forecast is a little bit sporadic, but what the hell. Anyway, it's been a while, I know. While we're working everything else, not a lot has been happening with my particular channel. But as you probably all know, it was originally Weggy ZX12R. Well, progressively I've moved on a little bit. The ZX12R has gone, unfortunately. Good reasons why. It's just not, for me now, not as comfortable to ride with the lower back problems that I've picked up over the years. So, as many of you will know, I'm now on a fantastic Bandit Mark 1 1200 Street Fighter. This is an absolute hoot. I'm loving this machine. They sort of passed me by really over the years, but anyway, this particular one is coming into my hands, and I've also carried on with my old Kawasaki tradition and gone back to the ZZR as well, and I've now also got myself a fantastic 12,000 miler ZZR 1200, which I'm still messing about with the settings on the suspension and everything else, getting it tailoring it for myself really. It's got a fantastic Nitron shock on the back of it, which is fully adjustable, as anybody will know, them particular units are bespoke to particular riders and particular machines, and it's definitely a lot better unit than would originally have been on the bike as an OEM unit. But anyhow, moving on. So with that, with the YouTube channel, unfortunately I've just not had any time whatsoever, what with work and family and bits and pieces in life. But obviously you'll see that I've renamed it Weggy's Motorcycles UK, and the reason being for that is I am no longer, because of in the last 3 months, this 3 years, sorry, I've had 6 bikes, and those particular bikes being a ZZR 1100, an XJ 600, the original model, the ZX12R, the mighty ZX12R, a Phaser 600, and now 2 completely bikes, obviously this Suzuki Bandit 1200 Street and the ZZR. So rather than keep messing about with the prefix on the channel, whether it be, you know, YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, I decided to rename it to something a bit more established for myself. And the reason why I've called it Weggy's Motorcycles UK is because I'm looking to possibly change, well, I'm going to change the input, or add to the input really, and give more input from myself, whether it's worthwhile or not don't really make a lot of difference, but input from myself regarding the experiences I've had with particular motorcycles, the motorcycles I'm riding now, and the ones I've had previously over the last, God knows, was it 35 years of riding now. So but I personally think it sounds quite good. You know, it's nothing more, nothing less than my own particular channel, but it's a little bit more universal in title for myself. So yeah, looking forward to putting some interesting material towards the channel in the near future. Anyhow, and a good mate of mine, Gary, on the lovely Z900, Andy's on his Beamer K1200. We've just taken a ride out to Thetford Forest to meet up with the rest of the Suffolk crew as such, although be it one or two from Norfolk, i.e. old man Tony. Good to see Tony again. We also have familiar, very good friends of ours, Mr. and Mrs. Cactus, John, Ian and Jenny. Also have a new lad with us on his, I think it's YZF125, I believe. His name's John. So it's good to meet the lad. Also, Robin, Mr. Robin Peel, on his Honda NX 700, I believe, or 750, whatever it is. Good to see Robin again. And that's about it. So anyway, we're now on this nice little bimble up to King's Lynn, where we'll be meeting up with Skeggy, and I'm sure as hell thinking that Richard, Mr. Carnbike, is going to be up there, Bex is going to be up there, Kat's going to be up there, Woman Wolf Rider, Danny Boy is going to be up there. I think, let me think, Freddie Sheddington on his new machine, Garden Shed Vlogs, I believe his channel is, and he's now got himself a new bike, trading in the Kawasaki, I believe, and he's now got himself a V-Strom. And I'm trying to think who else might be up there. Well, anyhow, hopefully we're going to have a good turnout. But the plan is obviously from King's Lynn, we'll be doing what we normally do and taking the filtering trip up to Hunstanton, and then spend a while up there having a gas, and then we'll be moving on to hopefully sunny Wells. So that should be an absolute blast as ever. Little bit of roadworks. Anyhow, weather-wise, at least it's dry at the moment. The forecast is, as I said earlier, it's a little bit sporadic. Rain is forecast, which hopefully, you know, hasn't kept too many away from this particular run. But the rain is forecast for a little bit later on this afternoon. At some point, no doubt, we will hit the rain. But ain't no problem. Ain't no problem at all. We're expecting a few more at the meet point for the Suffolk crew, originally down at Cop Dock Services, but unfortunately my mate Andy and his good lady Trina, they have a flooded kitchen, hence the fact he's not been able to make it today. And I believe young Jason, otherwise known as Wraith Rider, he informed us last night that he has we had a water leak from somewhere and he couldn't quite suss out exactly where it was coming from, and realised fairly late last night that he's got a hold radiator, so good luck on sorting that one out with the old China. But anyhow, yeah, so we've got a decent little crew running up to King's Lynn right now. We're going to enjoy the ride. Anyhow, back to myself. Yeah, the present bikes I have now, I'm more than happy with. Been having a chat with the wife, as you do, and I've pretty much promised her for the foreseeable future they are going to become my permanent, well, they will become, they are my permanent rides. They are going to stay as my permanent rides, because with the Bandit I've got all the hoonery, the fun, everything that goes with a old school oil cooled lump like a Bandit Mark 1 lump. And this bike is an absolute hoot. I love it. I've tickled around with the settings on it, the suspension and whatever. There's not a fantastic amount you could do with it. It's jacked up 40mm at the back with the Renthal wide bars on it. This particular one is dynoed at 121 on the rear wheel. Later on, I might toy with a little bit of tuning with it, just for the hell of it, because I can, and it could be interesting. There's so many things you can do with these old lumps, but I just love the instant torque. Now, the difference being is obviously with the I've had some powerful bikes, you know, mainly litre plus bikes over the years. The difference being with this particular engine compared to a lot that I've had recently is the fact, especially with the Kawasaki's, they thrive on, as much as they got plenty of horsepower and plenty of torque, obviously, it is further up the rev range, and Kawasaki's especially thrive on mid-range power and top-end power, especially with the airbox, the induction system that the Kawasaki's use, amongst many others. But this one, being an old school lump, is just blowing me fucking head off. It's just so enjoyable. Instantaneous acceleration, and it just doesn't peter out. It's just a lovely smooth torque curve on it. And yeah, very enjoyable. I was toying with the idea of bringing the ZZR today, but as I'm still tinkering around with the settings on it and bits and pieces and that, I thought, no, what the hell, I'll bring the Bandit. And this one, also being my works ride as well, my commuter, it's not so fussed about it getting covered in shit, to be fair. I mean, I you know, anybody who knows me knows what I'm like with maintaining the bikes and keeping them clean and servicing myself, so it's not a problem. And this one's quite an enjoyable bike to clean, to be fair. I'd rather spend 2 to 3 hours cleaning this thing with the exposed engine and framework and everything else, compared to, you know, 2 hours cleaning a fully fed bike and just having to polish all the plastics. It's taken me back really to, I mean, okay, I know the FJ1200, which I had back in 1988. Was a fed, well, I say fed machine. It was it had a top fairing on it, obviously, with the FJ1200 and a belly pan, but the engine was still there. It's still exposed, and in a lot of ways, it's so nice and so enjoyable to be back to that old school oil cooled instant acceleration sort of feel, the instantaneous torque that the FJ used to have. And that was an immense bike in its day as well. I certainly wouldn't say no to owning one now. In fact, I weren't far off buying one. Actually, there was a very nice one got up for sale for around £1,500 not so long back. But as it happens, I decided to hang it out a little bit, and then ended up with this one, which in fact is my brother-in-law's old bike, and I'd always loved this machine, and he'd always had his eyes on my ZX12R, so we cracked up a deal, a favourable deal that worked out very well for myself, and hence the fact with a little bit of extra cash that I had, I managed to pick up a cracking ZZR 1200. I was already looking at them and looking to purchase one, but this one that I've got here literally just came out of the blue from a mate of mine that only purchased it a week before he sold it to me, and the only reason he sold it was the fact that his lovely lady Trina just didn't find it comfortable being on the back of. Not because the seat, nothing to do with the seat being uncomfortable, it's the fact that because of the riding position, and Andy's a shorter guy, well she's about the same sort of height, but because she felt more perched up and more distance away from Andy as the main pilot, she just did not enjoy it. So favourably the bike has come to myself, and apart from having the Warrior, the fantastic Warrior 1700 that he has, newly fitted with Vance and Hines, he has also recently purchased himself a cracking Honda CB 1300, which I took out last week, and that was an absolute joy to ride. So everything seems to be pretty well sorted as we come into the closing part of the season. For those that know us, and for those who are regulars, one of the final knees up that we have is the local Copdock motorcycle show, and that's in a few weeks' time. That's always a blast. We'll have the usual high numbered turnout. I can't remember how many it was last year, but it was very well attended. Thousands and thousands of bikes. I mean, the car park, the actual bike park, the car park is a show in itself, really, the amount of bikes that are there. I mean, if you didn't even pay to go into the show, you could spend 2 hours walking around the car park looking at the bikes. So yeah, we'll be having hopefully a good few people join us from further afield, and also our local crew and many others. And hopefully that'll be for the organisers of the show. It'll be a good hot dry day. Anyhow, so that's just a little bit of news on what's been happening bikes wise and channel wise. So as I say, there will be a lot more content going up on the channel, Weggy's Motorcycles UK, and if you haven't given the channel a look, we do here with the channel, please give us a look. You never know, you might like it. Anyhow, I'm going to leave it for a minute and just carry on the ride. I'll pick up again as we come into Kings Lynn.